As some of you can tell, that's a picture of Alicia Bollinger on the front of this video. Through all of this, one thing that's been guaranteed is that my voice isn't going to be heard. Literally everyone is going to talk over me. I have to start over from scratch. And before I'm able to get anybody to hear what's going on, they're already busy with their own assumptions and making decisions based on those assumptions, and that doesn't help. You need to know what's going on. I've been victimized here, the library parking lot, as well as the library parking lot on the other side. I've been victimized at the Safeway repeatedly, in the parking lot, as well as inside, and on the sidewalks. One of my stalkers, his name is Andrew, and there's a lady who was here for one of the assaults, who actually was there for the assault, so she's gonna, I guess, write a report about it. The officers are supposed to have pieces of paper, voluntary statement reports, and they pretend like they don't have them. Then later on, when they haven't allowed you to do that, and they haven't given you a way to turn it in appropriately, what do they say? Either I wrote it down on the wrong piece of paper and that's my fault, or they say, oh, well, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the laws on that. Really, because you seem to know exactly what the laws weren't when it come to you needing to do your job. So in order to fit this into a category where they don't have to do their jobs, they have to pretend that none of the abuse that is recorded actually exists. Now, Timothy Sadler considered me talking to him a report. Same thing with Sean Holloway. Whereas literally every other officer wants to say that I'm not allowed to do it that way. But also it's after the fact, after they fucked up, and fucked up for months at a time, and pretended like I didn't try to turn it in right away. With Wolneds, it's unsafe to call 911. It's unsafe to go to the police. What am I supposed to do? The only thing I can do without somebody going in with me to turn it in is to take the abuse over and over and over again. At least that one time somebody was there. Now there is the fact that he's one of the officers I'm trying to turn in, because they don't follow protocol in any of this. On many an occasion, they've come and harassed me and others. Gone around and asked a bunch of people questions without anybody writing a written report. Gone in and collected evidence without anybody making a written report. But then when refused to do that for me. Wanted to tell me that they don't have written reports. I just tell them what happened and they'll decide if it's against the law. And then just talk over you. Then when you're continually abused by the same individual over and over and over again, they go, oh, well, it's your fault for not making a written report. But they don't give you that option when that happens, do they? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. For some of you do, don't they? They tell you exactly what to do, who to talk to, and give you the piece of paper right then and there. If you tell them you need a safe place to write it down, they will give you a safe place right then and there. Right now, I got a major issue with Kayla Long. She doesn't have any fucking clue what's going on, and she wanted to make a bunch of decisions for me without my permission yesterday. That's not okay. Just like the last dingleberry, she needed to take a listen, find out what's going on before making decisions for her client without her client's permission. She needed to not be lying to the fucking judge, for Christ's sake. Now, where did all this bullshit start? The competition between the woman who's on the front cover of this and her dead sister, Natalie Marie Bollinger. There was a car just parked there a minute ago, and they came around. I hope he's okay. Hope everybody in the library is okay and safe. Anyway, I got a few minutes before I gotta head back over there. There's a lady who she remembers the assault, she just doesn't remember what day it was on. So I had to go through my phone and try to scroll down far enough. Thank goodness it's within the last 2 months, and I know about what videos are around it, so I was able to go right to the video. It took probably 20 minutes of scrolling, I suppose, but so I was able to find out that incident was on October 26th, and this is just one of over 30 situations where Andrew Wolnez was physical with either myself or my vehicle or my phone, or any combination of the three. I'm not okay with this, no matter who it is that's doing it. Now, after I've spoken to an officer, just minutes after an incident, and the incident is recorded, like the incidents with Molly and Fred Myers, I got blamed for things that Tom did. I got blamed for things that Nick did. I got blamed for things that Molly did. Meanwhile, Molly continued to threaten myself and Tom. She continued to vandalize my vehicle and harass me. She continued to threaten me, and she continued to accuse me of doing things that I didn't do. Tom explained to her, yeah, Sean didn't steal that shit. But no, that was her being angry. That was how she expressed anger about me helping Tom, because Tom asked me for help because he was trying to get away from her. Now, Officer Lothman here, him and his partner at that particular point in time, Officer Trent Olson, made my life hell. Because on that particular day, they were awful nice. Olson mostly ignored the situation. Mostly. What did it ultimately result in? 6 more weeks of Molly pulling that bullshit. Meanwhile, she's a woman, so it is easier out here. It's easier to make money out here as a woman. It's easier to get resources out here as a woman. It's easier to get free resources by playing victim. When you deny a homeless and disabled man his rights just once, then it's open season for everybody. Everybody gets to harm that individual. You get to see how many times Wolnez has come up to me and assaulted me. How many times have I approached him? Never. Never through any of this have I approached him. Every single time he comes by to harass me. How many times have I assaulted him? Every single time it has been him coming to assault me. Every single time. And what does he do? He plays victim. Oh, poor him. He's stalking a dude and the dude's fucking tired of it. Oh, poor him. He repeatedly assaulted a dude. Over and over and over again, and he's fucking tired of it, right? Isn't he? He's tired of pursuing me and assaulting me. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? He thinks I should just let him hurt me. He thinks that I should just allow him to do it. He thinks that I should not be allowed to defend myself. How do I attempt to defend myself? With a fucking camera. When you got to deal with people like Wolnez and he's decided he's going to fucking hurt you, he's already decided he's going to hurt you. And any excuse for him is a good excuse, isn't it? Meanwhile, if you prevent actual evidence from being allowed in court, and you cut the victim off, the actual victim off, from all of their friends, all of their family, all of their resources. You make them jump through expensive and time-consuming hoops for something that is supposed to be done right away. When I'm trying to turn in abuse, those police officers should be listening to me and going in and getting the fucking evidence that is recorded. Not telling me that they'll write it down, they'll decide if it's against the law, while talking over me the entire time, whether they talk nicely or not. The thing is, they're not taking it seriously, and that's what leads to situations like Molly, situations like Wolnez. And then there's the mentally ill tag. As a disabled person, I have zero rights. Zero rights as a physically disabled person. None. I'm supposed to have rights on paper, but if a cop don't want to do their job, who gives a fuck? Well, all of you should. Because that's how a little problem turns into a big problem. That's how Natalie Bollinger being embarrassed turns into Natalie Bollinger getting a fucking hole in her head. That's how it goes from Sean Schwartz going to see his friend at her request. And Sean Schwartz being abused over shit that never fucking happened. How many of these predators have cited Natalie Bollinger by name as their excuses for harming me? Meanwhile, I'm assaulted by actual pedophiles. Dang, that cop is stationed there. Must be waiting on somebody. Alright, where are they? They're there. A lot of my tobacco got wet because I live in my car. A lot of it. I've shown a lot of people here evidence of things that happen in Colorado. The evidence of what Natalie had to say versus what my predators had to say. The proof that my rights were denied because my predators lied. People like Kara Johnson Miles. People like Rose M. Kelly. People like Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa. Now there are people here and elsewhere who have seen the evidence that they were lies, but those people didn't come forward with me. They wanted to claim that they came forward on their own and that nobody would listen, but that's the thing, is that you never go in alone. That's why you were not heard, and that is why I was not heard, and that's why you never make the victim go in alone. Especially if they're homeless, especially if they're disabled, and especially if they're a male. We are victimized by the police. How many crimes were actually committed against children by women in my situation? Quite a few. And how many times did they drop the charges against those women because the police broke the law? That's right. You want it to be the man's fault, but when it turns out that it's not, what do? When you've already broken the law because you wanted to help some poor defenseless woman who's getting drunk and beating on kids, how do you cover up your mistake? Oh yeah, this fucking homeless dude said she was beating on these kids, and also we've got 9 calls altogether, at least. That's right, they got 3 anonymous calls from other people, 3 anonymous calls from me, as well as 3 recorded calls from me before I had to do anything desperate to get those girls safe in Rawlins, Wyoming. What was Rand Ingersoll doing? She was beating on them kids. Now she admitted that she lied. That's recorded on this channel. She also admitted why. Because she was angry. Like, she just expected me to let her beat on them kids and say and do nothing? You're fucking insane. Now what ended up happening to Rand Ingersoll? Well, she ended up dead. Pretty common fucking theme. What happened to her predator, Douglas Cowden? He died in prison. Oh, there's some. How many times have I been to jail to protect children? Just since Natalie's death. I was also sent to 2 separate prisons. By the way, I was never convicted of a felony. Matter of fact, I wasn't convicted of anything. They charged me with misdemeanors. That's the best they could come up with, and even those they had to drop the charges They didn't press those charges against me because they were afraid of me or because I was a danger to the public. It's because they didn't want to go to fucking prison. Sheriff Scott DaCosta didn't want to go to prison. Polly Olson didn't want to go to prison. She was the county clerk. You should look her up too. Dual county clerk, Polly Olson. Deputy Jared Hawden, he didn't want to go to prison either. You can hear in telephone call after telephone call how all these places, 988, 211, 911, when they find out that you're trying to turn in abuse as a homeless male, well, their ears turn off. Or the moment they find out you're trying to turn in cops. Or the moment they find out you don't have the money for a lawyer. Oh, if you have the money for a lawyer, they'll do their fucking job. They know that I don't. That includes the judge, my public pretender, over and over in all these different situations. The judge didn't care in Chapel, Nebraska. He gave the cops what they wanted. I was illegally prevented from turning in those officers and that evidence. I shouldn't say officers, should I? Because there's no police. There are literally no police in Dual County, Nebraska. It's just the sheriff's department, that's it. So when I had to turn in Scott DaCosta, I had to turn him into himself. And then I was told I had to turn him into the state patrol, who told me I had to turn it into Scott DaCosta, who told me I had to turn it into the state patrol, who told me I had to turn it into Dual County Sheriff's Department, who told me I had to turn it into the state patrol, just back and fucking forth. And then mental health is supposed to help. Mental health is supposed to help. Well, they're not helping. They're too busy making a profit off of me having to go back every fucking month for them to do jack shit. Oh, if we can't get it done in a 50-minute episode of Fuck Sean's Life. I go to the places that are supposed to care about disabled people because it's literally their fucking jobs. And I get talked over like I'm a fucking junkie. And it's fucking disgusting. I can't safely go to the police. I can't safely go to any of the services. That's because I haven't been allowed to turn in any of the crimes committed against me by those services. They're allowed to backtrack and abuse their position of power when they fuck up. Just like Dual County Sheriff Scott DaCosta of Dual County, Nebraska. Because I was not allowed to face my accusers. And I was not allowed to bring charges against my abusers. I was railroaded in court over and over and over again. Had court date after court date that I wasn't allowed to go to. And then I was treated like a criminal because I was illegally prevented from going to court. You have to have a law degree to live in the United States as a poor person. And all of these people with law degrees prey on the fact that they know you don't have the money for a fucking law degree. They prey on the fact that there's all sorts of cush stuff that allows them to commit crimes against you and to try to scare you into not defending yourself against it. When you talk to the police, you need to record it. When you talk to a judge, you need to record it. When you talk to the county clerk, you need to record it. When you talk to the DA, you need to fucking record it. And every one of them will pretend that it's illegal for you to fucking record it. Well, guess what? It's not. If you don't record it, they pretend it never happened, and there is no proof that you made any effort whatsoever. When you turn in paperwork, you have to make a photocopy. You have to. Because if they throw it away, you still need to have evidence that you made the fucking report. The other day when I had to talk to Sadler, this is, sixth time that I've had to talk to Sadler about stalkers, including Molly. And James Murphy as well. Tyler Crabtree. Tyler Crabtree and I get along well. He doesn't give me any problems, ever. That's because I was able to get help stopping it appropriately. I was able to help get the abuse from Ashley ended appropriately. I was able to get the abuse by Farnsworth ended appropriately. You know who helped me to do these things appropriately? People like Jared Scudder. People like Scott. People like Charlie and his girlfriend Tiffany. Because the police didn't want to do their fucking jobs. A lot of people, after I've explained to them, I can't turn anything in alone. You have to turn it in with me. Someone has to turn it in with me. Someone who's informed. Otherwise, I'm going to get talked over. When they say to do something, they don't mean 6 months from now. It needs to be done as soon as possible. How quickly would you do it if it was your daughter this was happening to? It'd be done right away, wouldn't it? I've been here about, 15, 16 months? Quite a while. I tried to turn in the abuse from the hospital to the police here, which is fucked up because I was at the hospital to turn in abuse by the police. When I was at the hospital, I was abused by a doctor at the hospital. Assaulted me over somebody from TFCC's crisis team because I had to go in alone because the person who was going to go in with me, Mike McKinster, left. And as soon as he was gone, There was no protection for me. Those people immediately started treating me like a schizophrenic fucking nut job who was just there to get fucking pills and drugs. I tried telling them about the abuse like I'm supposed to. These are the people that by law I'm supposed to be able to go to and tell what's happening. Meanwhile, these people are not real social workers. They don't give a fuck about me. What they give a shit about is getting paid. Isn't that what you go to work for? To get paid? So you have a roof over your head? So you can go home, go to bed, cover up with your blankets, and fucking snooze until the morning. You can go home. You can shit, shower, and shave all in the same room. Isn't that why you go to work? You want food for you, you want food for your kids, you want food for whoever else is in the household, whatever pets you happen to have. How many of my predators have kids? And how many of them have a history of being predatory towards their own kids? And how many of those people, after committing felonies against me, wanted to go, oh, I'm scared of Sean, I have kids? Then I got to deal with this Katie Long lady. Sorry, Kayla Long. She made a bunch of decisions for me in court that were inappropriate. It was not appropriate for her to make those decisions. And she fucking knew it. But she still made them. And of course, they wanted to throw out there the mental health court thing. Oh, that's right. Where you try to literally ignore every fucking witness. Isn't that right? Where you literally go out of your way to make it a police officer's word versus that officer's victim. Over and over again. And what's this public pretender lady doing? Not just that. She's making decisions for me without knowing what the fuck is going on. Without conferring with me. Without making adequate time before doing stupid shit. Now, what happened when I called to try to turn it in? Because it is an ongoing court case. Oh, those people at the DA's office played fucking stupid. They couldn't wait to fucking hang up the goddamn phone. They know what they're doing is illegal. And they know that playing stupid works unless somebody gives a shit. And obviously, if somebody gave a shit, they would have helped turn it in already. When I try to turn it in alone, they throw shit away, pretend it didn't happen, or fucking outright lie about the whole goddamn scenario, the whole fucking situation. Not okay. This shit gets people killed. You really think that the police are going to investigate the murder of homeless people? They don't give a fuck. Not till you've killed 5 or 6 of them in rapid fucking succession. Then again, I was informed of about 5 people between Boulder and Denver that were killed immediately after Natalie Bollinger disappeared, just because they kind of sort of looked like me. How do we protect ourselves? The cops, judges, public pretenders, DAs, they all know we don't have the money for a real fucking lawyer. Every goddamn one of them. So are they going to do their jobs? No, they don't fucking have to. They'll commit felonies against you, criminal offenses against you, because you can't sue them in civil court. They'll try to pretend that it's a civil thing. So when you try to get help because people are committing felonies against you, oh, we don't do that. We don't do civil stuff. Okay, fine. So you call the criminal places and they say, oh, well, we don't do criminal stuff. So it's nobody's job to do anything. Especially if you're a male. Especially if you're homeless. Especially if you're broke. Especially if you're disabled. Judge Hill knew what he was doing was wrong. And the demeanor of the officers, well, I do pay attention to that. These officers know who I am, and they do table talk. They are conferring with their friends in other departments here. Same as Scott DeCosta did in Chapel, Nebraska. For 18 months, I tried to turn him in, and even with the State Patrol knowing I was trying to turn him in, they repeatedly forced me to go to him about crimes being committed against me. Over and over and over again, Nebraska State Patrol sent me to a sheriff who had committed felonies against me to turn that sheriff in to himself. I'm dealing with the same shit here. Just because they talk nice don't mean they ain't full of shit. And then we got predators like Alicia Michelle Bollinger. You don't want to think of her as a predator. No pretty girl could be a predator. Oh, poor her, she's just a pretty girl. Poor her, she could never do anything bad. She's a pretty girl. Look at all the makeup she paints on. Look at all the dye she puts in her hair. She's just a pretty girl. Oh, poor her, she could never do anything wrong. She would never lie. She would never do drugs. She would never compete with her sister. She'd never do something mean just because she was afraid of getting in trouble. See, here's the thing. Natalie and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa, what they did wasn't First Amendment shit. What they did is bear false witness, resulting in physical harm. Even worse, it's physical harm against somebody who can't fucking defend himself. Their lies resulted in people actually threatening to kill me, actually threatening to kill my friends and family. Resulted in people actually physically assaulting me resulting in a whole bunch of my money being stolen. Also resulting in me having to stay with fucking drug dealers so that I could go to the Front Range of Colorado so I could get help stopping the fucking stalking by people like fucking Tim Beeson and Matty fucking Boa and their fucking junkie friends. Literally, the only thing that any of these fucking people respond to is being called a fucking cunt. Oh God, now I'm the almighty Satan and deserve to roast in hell, don't I? I said the word cunt. With all due respect, I've been through a lot of assaults, and a lot of my fucking friends are dead, god damn it. I have the fucking right to say the word cunt. I have every fucking right to be pissed off. Well, whatever the cop fucking needed, hopefully it's taken care of. This video is 41 minutes long. There's 70% battery left, which is good. I'm gonna go into the store there and see if that lady is off. She's gonna write something up. Now, how many times have I gone in there with stuff that people wrote up? And what have I been told when I go in there with that stuff? Oh, well, how do we know that you didn't write it? Over and over again. Because cops don't want to do their jobs. And because the people who wrote those things didn't go in with me to turn it in. They didn't make the calls with me, and they didn't record shit. I spoke up with the intention of stopping abuse. I tried to retaliate legally and was illegally prevented from doing so because of people's assumptions. And then you tell me that, oh, well, it's okay for them to make those assumptions. It's your fault you were abused because you're different. Gay people want us all to be inclusive. The LGBT community wants us to be all inclusive of them. Well, they're not inclusive of us. Why do I put myself in the straight category during that? Despite the fact that I'm definitely, for assuredly, not straight. Because my LGBT friends, whose problems are piddly compared to what I have to go through, I've been fighting for their rights. They've never fought for mine. And the ones who claim to be my friends want to talk about how horrible it is to be gay. How horrible it is to be treated like shit for being gay. Well, you know what? I get treated like shit for being gay. And my friends within the LGBT community do not accept me as a part of the LGBT community because they see me as straight. Oh no, Sean, you can't be part of our group. But then these straight people, they don't see me as straight, do they? No. As far as they're concerned, I'm a cocksucking homosexual. I get that especially out of the Christian community, because these Christians seem to believe that if they pretend you're a homosexual, it makes it okay to physically harm you. Up to and including literally killing you. All in Jesus' name. I spoke up about that. about how Jesus didn't say to kill you. Jesus didn't say to go killing all these people. He said that they'll die. And they will. Every one of us is going to die. I'm going to die. Donald Trump is going to die. Leslie Snell's going to die. Scott DeCosta's going to die. That's not a threat. That is an inescapable fact. Whether it's from a heart attack, a gunshot wound to the head, getting crushed by a Mack truck, overdosing on drugs, tripping down the stairs at 90 years old, falling and you can't get up, or maybe even in childbirth. You never know. But to say that we are all going to die is not a threat against anyone's life. Now, many of my predators, like Leslie Snell, for example, wanted to pretend that because I said that we're all going to die, wanted to pretend like I was threatening to kill her and her family. Now, keep in mind, this is a woman whose husband had been involved in threatening my life. Actually threatening my life. Actual threats against my life. Even verified on this YouTube channel by Carl Snell, her husband's brother. These police officers acted with impunity. And so did sex offenders like Robert Franklin Warnick. Registered sex offenders like Robert Franklin Warnick. And then there is the outright and blatant stalking by people like Andrew Wolnez. People like James Murphy. People like Ted Bollinger. People like Natalie and Alicia Bollinger. That's right, there is lots of evidence that they were stalking me. But you just refuse to look at it and it's fine. Sorry about that. Once the alcohol gets to a certain level in my little gas burning stove here, well, actually it doesn't burn gas. I wouldn't want to do that. It's real fucking dangerous. It runs on alcohol. But sometimes... Sometimes it'll do a little post-jet thing once it gets to a certain amount. I was thinking it was going to do it again, so I was going to try showing you. Anyway, without a friend or family member to listen, I basically just got to speak up here on YouTube. I've documented 7 years of abuse. Natalie Bollinger had to deal with a lot of abuse. And I had to deal with a lot of abuse by those very same people. Those very same predators. Because she was embarrassed over a competition that she was having with her sister. That's right, they were fighting over a boy. Meanwhile, I was having to deal with the whole Natalie's gonna kill herself if I don't show up bullshit. And no matter where I go, I have to deal with this shit. No matter where I go, jurisdiction only works one way. They can lie about stuff across jurisdictional boundaries, and I'm not allowed to defend myself against it because there's a jurisdictional boundary there. Well, excuse me, says I. If they're allowed to say it in court, I'm allowed to show that it's fucking bullshit. But they call me mentally ill, and magically it's okay. You call somebody mentally ill, it's okay to rape them. You call them mentally ill, it's okay to steal from them. You call them mentally ill, it's okay to stalk them and fucking beat on them and fucking shoot them in the goddamn head. You're fucking sick. What's the first thing that marks somebody as a predator for me? When they say they're a Christian, usually. Because it's been my experience that the only people who truly and actually believe in an almighty God are schizophrenic and delusional and think that they are God from time to time. The rest of you use that delusion because you want to feel a part of something. You want to feel safe and protected. You want to feel part of a group. And it does make you feel protected. You go into that church. You're surrounded by the congregation. You know that if somebody comes in who's got some grudge or vendetta against you, if he comes into the church, people will call the cops. One thing I noticed from going to many Christian churches in my lifetime is that the people that Christians are likely to help how they ask is other Christians. And only if those other Christians believe exactly how they believe. Other than that, it becomes what it always becomes. Gossip. What has there been at every single church that I've ever gone to? Gossip. And then you hide behind God. Or we've got irresponsible people who have children because they were doing drugs and alcohol, had irresponsibly unprotected sex, and now they have kids, and when they don't come through with their word, they want to say, oh, well, I'm being a responsible parent. No, you're not a responsible parent any more than you were being responsible before you were a parent. You're in constant need of help from people, and then you're ungrateful for that help. Meanwhile, you get the help that you're asking for. But you don't provide anything close to that, do you? You think that telling somebody pretty words, or talking over them, or trying to make them feel bad, making it a pissing contest, literally just talking over the victim, as long as you don't hear anything, then it's not your fault. If you have 500 excuses, then it's not your fault you didn't hear anything. You had all those excuses, remember? Oh, Sean, remember when I made that hour for you? No, I remember when you made 2.5 hours of making excuses. I remember when you called me up wanting help, going, oh, Sean, I need help, I need help. I have kids, I have kids, I have kids. I remember you saying, hey, Sean, if you ever need anything, let me know. I also remember the empty promises. I remember getting a hold of you. And I remember how you didn't take it seriously. You want to tell me how it is from your point of view of somebody who wasn't there? How does that help anyone? You want to reword what I just told you into something that it ain't. If it'll magically justify you being a piece of shit and looking the other way, because it's not happening to you. And how many of you have come to me when this shit happens to you? A lot. Before Anna victimized me and victimized two of Amy Kalina Kingery's kids, she had been victimized herself and came to me for help, and I helped her. How she asked. How do we stop the abuse? By not looking the other way. When you want to get pissed off that nobody's helping you, did you ever help anyone else? Out of all these people who promised to come forward, how many of them wanted to do anything except come forward and tell the truth? How many of them wanted to talk over me instead of listen? How many of them wanted to give unsolicited advice to a situation they know nothing about? For a lot of these folks, they knew that I'd gone to them for help stopping the abuse before Natalie was killed. Well before Natalie was killed. They knew that I was being bullied to the point that I wanted my life to end. But instead of helping stop the bullying, they wanted to give me pretty words and then ignore me for fucking 6, 8, 12 months. Yeah, there was a lot of people that I went to for help because the abuse was that fucking bad. But how dare somebody with a penis try to get help stopping abuse? If it's a woman trying to get help stopping abuse, you listen to her, and then you help her turn it in. When it's a guy trying to stop abuse, you talk over him. And you tell him you don't have time, but maybe in a week, or 2, or 3. When they have disabilities, instead of paying attention to those disabilities and understanding that it does affect the fucking person and their ability to turn in their predators, when you just don't want to hear it. Like when predators have bullied someone to the point that they want to fucking end their goddamn life. Instead of helping stop the bullies, you help to harm that person and destroy their credibility by trying to have them locked up for wanting their life to end. Well, they didn't come to you for help ending their life. They came to you for help stopping abuse. And when you wouldn't make the time for that, that's when they kill themselves. That's when they make those attempts. That's when they start begging people for help ending their lives. Being forced to go to police who have committed crime after crime against me to turn them into themselves is fucking bullshit. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper too, and no victim left behind.